we are going to start with a new chapter, that is, what is physics. So to start with this, let's define what the meaning of physics is. Physics is defined as a science which studies about nature and the laws of nature. Or we can define as physics is a science of measurements. It talks about, it is a science of measurements. It clearly helps us to find a way how to measure physical measurements or physical quantities, like it measures the length of an object, the mass of an object, the area, the volume, and all these physical quantities. And there are different branches of physics. There are different areas or branches of physics. What are these areas or branches of physics? The first branch of physics is mechanics. Mechanics is, it's a branch of physics that studies about motion and its cause. The other branch of physics is thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is, it's a branch of physics that studies about the relationship between heat and temperature. Many students get confused with these two physical quantities. Like, some students say that temperature and heat are the same, and some say they are different. But hereafter what you have to know is temperature and heat are quite different terms. They are very different. They are different terms. When you say heat, we mean that this is the amount of energy that transfers from hot object to cold object, or it is a form of energy. Don't forget that heat is the energy that transfers from hot to cold object. The direction of heat flow is always from hot object to cold object. Like when you bring, like for example, when you bring hot object, when you put hot object in a cold object, the hot one loses heat, this loses heat, whereas the cold one gains heat until thermal equilibrium is established, until they have the same temperature. And the other branch of physics is optics. Optics is a branch of physics that studies about the properties of lights. This studies about the property of light, how light travels, what are the effects of light, what are the properties of light. The other branch of physics is wave and mechanical physics or wave physics. This branch of physics studies about how waves are produced, or how sound travels in a given material or in a medium, or how vibration is produced. And just to summarize this all, like I have already prepared a table that clearly helps you identify these branches of all these branches of physics. Let me show you. See, these are the areas or branches of physics. These are the areas or the branches of physics. As I told you before, mechanics is a branch of physics which studies about motion and its cause. What the cause? What are the factors that produces motion? What are the things behind the production of motion? Or the interaction between objects. For example, if you have a car, let's say take a car. If you say that this car is moving, what is the force, the cause that makes the car to move forward? Or what are the forces interacting between the car and the surface? For example, you may have a force called frictional force. A frictional force is a force between the tires of the car and the surface. And the other type of force is a normal force. So this all motion and its cause is studied by a branch of physics called mechanics. The second branch of physics is thermodynamics. As I told you before, thermodynamics studies about the relationship between heat and temperature. Like when you say heat, why do objects melt down? Like when you say heat, like for example, objects melt when they are heated. Melting is the process of changing solid into liquid if the object is exposed or subjected to external heat, if there is heat energy. So how objects melt, how objects freeze, how a refrigerator works are studied by a branch of physics called thermodynamics. The other branch of physics is vibration and wave phenomena. Under this branch or the area of physics, you will study the specific, like how sound travels, or what are the necessary conditions for a sound to be produced. How is sound produced? Like for a sound to be produced, we need to have three things. One is the source of sound. Second, the medium or medium through which sound travels. And the third one is the receiver of the sound. And the other one is springs, or you have to know the meaning of vibration. When you say vibration, we mean that it's back and forth movement, or to and fro movement. The other branch is optics. Optics is a branch of physics that studies about light, or it mainly studies about how images are formed in a mirror or in lenses. Next to that, the other branch is electromagnetism. Electromagnetism studies about the relationship between electricity and magnetism. And magnetism. Here, scientists found out that we can generate electricity from magnetism, and the process is called electromagnetic induction. Electromagnetic induction is the process of generating or producing electric current from a changing magnetic flux. So when you say flux, for example, if you have if you have a magnet with two poles in another magnet, there are magnetic field lines which are moving or directed from north pole towards south pole. And if you put a certain kind of armature, so when this armature rotates, we are changing the number of flux, the number of field lines penetrating this armature. So this change in the number of field lines causes or induces current. It induces current, and the process is called electromagnetic induction. So these all purports or how electricity is generated from a magnetic flux is studied by a branch of physics called electromagnetism. The other part is relativity. So when you say relativity, how do particles travel towards each other? Or what are the energy transfers that occurs when two objects collide? They may be heading towards each other or in the same direction. For example, if you have two cars heading towards each other, these two cars may collide, or these cars do have a relative velocity. That's A, this is car, let's say this car A and this car B. So this is VAB, that is given by the velocity of car A relative to car B. So this is given by the formula, the velocity of car A plus the velocity of car B. So this collision or the speed of one car relative to another car is studied by a branch of physics called relativity. And the other one is quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is a branch of physics that studies about the subatomic particles which are found in the atom. What are the particles that made up an atom? An atom is normally made from the central part, a nucleus, and the one revolving around its orbit, which are called electrons. And inside the nucleus we have protons and neutrons. So the property of these protons, neutrons and electrons is studied by a branch of physics called quantum mechanics. So these are all or the common branches of physics and the areas where we use them. Examples. To make this clear, let me show you a picture that clearly makes our lesson easy or easy to understand. For example, let's take this branch. Let's take this wheel. Look, the wheel of a car spins or it rotates because of the frictional force between the wheel and the surface. This wheel cannot rotate about its axis unless there is frictional force between the tire and the surface. So it is a frictional force which is responsible for the rotation for the spinning of the wheel. So this is called mechanics. Mechanics studies about how this wheel spins about its axis. What makes it to move forward? The other part is, let's have a look at the vibrations, the shock observers which are found deep inside it. Actually you can't see them, but above the wheel or the tire you will find kind of spring that's called shock observer. It controls the vibration between the car and the surface. So in this case we have a vibrational kind of motion, or a wave is produced, or we have up and down movement, which is studied by a branch of physics called vibration and mechanical waves. And the other one here, as you can see, there are lights, headlights. There is a light here and there are also side mirrors, spokeo. We call them the mirrors, side mirrors, which helps us to see objects behind us. So optics studies about the lights, how does this light works, and how is an image formed on the side mirror of the car. So this is optics. So we find optics on this, the concept of optics, or how light works in the headlights of the car and the side mirror of a car. And the other is electromagnetism. Inside the car there is a battery. Here you'll find a battery. A battery is a device that converts chemical energy into, it could change to, actually there is heat energy, plus there is also light energy. If you have a CD player in your car, you will also get sound energy. So this battery provides the car heat, light and sound. So a branch of physics that studies about how this battery is working is called electromagnetism. There is a starter, headlight, CD player. All this works by the energy they get from the battery, by the potential difference they get from the battery. And the other part is thermodynamics. You will find here thermodynamics. As you all know, a car has a coolant or an engine. Like an engine, there is an engine. When the engine is working, it generates heat. So this heat has to be cooled down. So this heat is cooled by the water that you find in a coolant. So this coolant cools the engine of the car by the principle of heat exchange. When the engine gets heat, it transfers heat from the engine of the car to the water nearby it. There will be heat flow. So that's why the car gets cooled, by the principle of heat exchange. That's all what you have for today. Thank you.